Science has an answer for everything, or at least that's what they want you to believe. But scattered across this planet are creatures that thousands of people have seen, filmed, and even touched. Creatures that leave footprints, DNA samples, and bodies behind. Yet mainstream science refuses to acknowledge them. Why? Because admitting these creatures exist would shatter everything we think we know about biology, evolution, and what's possible on this planet. It would mean rewriting textbooks, rethinking entire ecosystems, and accepting that there are things living among us that we don't understand. Today, you're about to meet 7 creatures that science refuses to admit exist. Not myths, not legends. Real animals with thousands of eyewitness accounts, physical evidence, and documented encounters. And the most disturbing part? Some of them might be closer than you think. Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Deep in the forests of North America, from the Pacific Northwest to the Appalachian Mountains, people have been reporting encounters with a massive ape-like creature that walks on 2 legs. They call it Bigfoot. And the evidence is staggering. Over 10,000 sightings have been reported in the last century alone. Witnesses describe a creature standing 7 to 9 feet tall, covered in dark hair, with a distinctive musky smell, and an eerie, human-like face. But it's not just sightings. There are footprints. Hundreds of them. Casts have been made showing footprints 16 inches long with dermal ridges, the fingerprint-like patterns unique to primates. In 1967, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin filmed what remains the most famous piece of cryptid evidence ever captured. The Patterson-Gimlin film shows a large, muscular, hair-covered creature walking through a clearing in Northern California. It turns, looks directly at the camera, and then disappears into the forest. Experts have analyzed the footage for decades. Some claim it's a man in a suit, but biomechanics specialists point out that the creature's gait, muscle movement, and proportions don't match human anatomy. Then there's the audio. In the 1970s, researchers recorded strange vocalizations in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The Sierra sounds include howls, screams, and what sounds like complex language. Linguists who analyzed the recordings say the vocal patterns show structure and syntax, suggesting intelligence. But the most compelling evidence? DNA. In 2012, Dr. Melba Ketchum published a controversial study claiming to have sequenced Bigfoot DNA from hair samples. The results showed a mix of human and unknown primate genetics. Mainstream science dismissed it immediately. But the samples exist. The data is there. Why does science refuse to admit Bigfoot exists? Because it would mean an unknown great ape has been living in North America for thousands of years without leaving a single body. No bones, no carcass, nothing definitive. And that challenges everything we know about how species survive and die. But ask the park rangers, the loggers, the hunters who've seen it. They'll tell you it's real, and they'll tell you it's watching. The Loch Ness Monster. In the cold, murky depths of Loch Ness, Scotland, something has been lurking for over 100 years. The first recorded sighting dates back to 565 AD, when St. Columba allegedly saved a man from a water beast in the River Ness. Since then, over 1,000 people have reported seeing something in the loch. Something massive. Something that shouldn't exist. Witnesses describe a creature with a long neck, a bulky body, and flippers. Some say it looks like a plesiosaur, a marine reptile that supposedly went extinct 66 million years ago. Skeptics laugh. Plesiosaurs are gone. Everyone knows that. But the sightings continue. In 1934, the famous surgeon's photograph appeared, showing what looked like a long-necked creature rising from the water. It was later revealed to be a hoax, a toy submarine with a carved head. But that single fake photo was used to discredit every other sighting. One fake photo doesn't erase 1,000 legitimate witnesses. In 1987, Operation Deep Scan used sonar to sweep the entire loch. They detected large, moving objects in deep water. Objects too big to be fish, too fast to be debris. The sonar operators couldn't explain it. In 2019, scientists conducted an eDNA study, testing water samples from the loch to identify every living species. They found no plesiosaur DNA. But they did find unusually large amounts of eel DNA, far more than expected. Could Nessie be a giant eel? Some researchers think so. European eels can grow over 6 feet long, but reports describe something much, much larger. If eels can reach abnormal sizes in Loch Ness's unique environment, it might explain the sightings. But that raises another question. Why would science dismiss a giant eel as impossible? Because admitting an unknown species of eel exists in one of the most studied lakes in the world would be embarrassing. Loch Ness is deep, dark, and full of underwater caves, perfect hiding spots. And every year, someone sees something. The question isn't whether there's something in the loch. The question is, what is it? And why won't science look harder? The chupacabra. In 1995, farmers in Puerto Rico began finding their livestock dead, drained of blood, with strange puncture wounds on their necks. Goats, chickens, sheep, all killed the same way. No struggle, no noise, just death. And the locals had a name for the killer, El Chupacabra, the goat sucker. Witnesses describe a creature about 3 to 4 feet tall, with leathery gray skin, large eyes, sharp fangs, and spines running down its back. Some say it hops like a kangaroo. Others claim it moves on all fours with incredible speed. But everyone agrees on one thing. It drains blood. The phenomenon spread rapidly. Sightings were reported in Mexico, Texas, Florida, and as far as Chile. Hundreds of animals were found dead under the same mysterious circumstances. Farmers set traps. Hunters searched the forests. Some claimed to have shot at the creature, but it always escaped. Then, in the 2000s, strange carcasses started turning up. Hairless, dog-like creatures with elongated limbs and strange skin. Scientists examined them and declared they were coyotes with mange, a skin disease that causes hair loss. Case closed, they said. Just sick coyotes. But witnesses who saw the living creature insist it's not a coyote. The body structure is wrong. The behavior is wrong. And the blood draining. Science has no explanation. Coyotes don't drain blood. No known predator does. Some researchers suggest it's a new species, possibly a genetic mutation or a hybrid. Others believe it's an escaped experiment, a creature created in a lab and released, accidentally or intentionally. What's most disturbing is the pattern. The kills are too clean, too precise, too methodical. Whatever the chupacabra is, it's smart and it's still out there. Still killing, still evading capture. Science calls it folklore. But the dead animals are real. The terrified farmers are real. And the creature responsible? It's still hunting. The Mothman. In November 1966, 2 young couples were driving near an abandoned TNT plant outside Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when they saw something that would haunt them forever. A creature, man-sized, with massive wings and glowing red eyes. It rose from the ground and chased their car at speeds over 100 mm. They reported it to the police, terrified, insistent, and they weren't alone. Over the next 13 months, more than 100 people in Point Pleasant reported seeing the Mothman, a hulking figure, 6 to 7 feet tall, with wings spanning 10 feet, no visible head, just glowing red eyes set into its shoulders. It perched on rooftops. It followed cars. It stared through windows. Then, on December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed during rush hour, plunging 46 people to their deaths. After the disaster, Mothman sightings stopped. Some believe the creature was a warning, an omen of the tragedy. Others think it caused the collapse. But science dismisses the entire phenomenon as mass hysteria. Except the sightings haven't stopped. Mothman has been reported before other disasters, before the Chernobyl meltdown, before the 9/11 attacks, before major earthquakes. Always the same description. Always the same glowing red eyes. Skeptics suggest it's just a sandhill crane, a large bird that can look humanoid in certain lights. But cranes don't have glowing eyes. They don't fly at 100 mph, and they don't predict disasters. Some researchers believe Mothman is interdimensional, a creature that appears when the fabric between worlds grows thin. Others think it's a genetic anomaly, a mutated owl or bat. But the most unsettling theory? That it's something older. Something that's been here all along, watching humanity, appearing only when something terrible is about to happen. Point Pleasant has embraced the legend. There's a statue, a museum, an annual festival. But locals who saw it don't celebrate. They remember the terror, the eyes, and they wonder, when will it return? And what will happen next? The Jersey Devil. For over 300 years, something has haunted the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. A creature born from legend, feared by locals and sighted by thousands. The Jersey Devil. The story begins in 1735, when a woman named Mother Leeds, pregnant with her 13th child, cursed the baby in a fit of rage, shouting, "Let this one be a devil." When the child was born, it transformed. Wings sprouted from its back, its face elongated into a horse-like snout. Claws replaced its hands. It shrieked, attacked everyone in the room, and flew up the chimney into the night. Since then, the Jersey Devil has been seen by countless witnesses. In 1909, an entire week of sightings gripped the region. Thousands of people reported seeing a winged creature with hooves, a forked tail, and a blood-curdling scream. Schools closed, factories shut down. Pauses formed to hunt it, but it was never caught. The descriptions are consistent. Bat-like wings, a horse's head, cloven hooves, a kangaroo-like body, and that scream. Witnesses say it sounds like nothing else on earth, a mix between a woman screaming and an animal dying. Tracks have been found in the snow, hoofprints that start and stop suddenly, as if the creature landed and took off. Livestock has been killed, torn apart in ways that don't match any known predator, and sightings continue to this day. Science calls it folklore, a story made up to scare children. But the Pine Barrens is a massive, dense forest, over 1 million acres of swamp and wilderness, perfect for something to hide. And people keep seeing it. Park rangers, hikers, pilots flying over the forest. What is the Jersey Devil? A misidentified bird? A genetic mutation? Or something that's been living in those woods for centuries, watching, waiting, occasionally reminding us that it's still there? The Yeti, abominable snowman. High in the Himalayas, above the tree line where few humans dare to venture, something massive walks through the snow. The Sherpa people have known about it for centuries. They call it the Yeti. The West calls it the abominable snowman. And despite decades of expeditions, it remains unproven. Mountaineers have reported enormous footprints in the snow, tracks that stretch across glaciers, at altitudes where no known animal should survive. The prints measure up to 24 inches long, far larger than any bear. In 1951, British explorer Eric Shipton photographed a clear footprint in the snow near Mount Everest. The photo remains one of the most compelling pieces of cryptid evidence ever captured. Local Sherpa guides speak of the Yeti with certainty, not as a legend, but as a real creature they've encountered. They describe a large, ape-like being, covered in reddish-brown or white fur, standing 7 to 10 feet tall, with a conical head and powerful shoulders. It's shy, they say, avoiding humans, living in caves high in the mountains. In 2008, Japanese researchers claimed to have found Yeti hair samples. DNA analysis showed the samples belonged to an unknown primate, something genetically distinct from known bears or apes. But mainstream science demanded more evidence. Hair isn't enough. We need a body. The most compelling theory suggests the Yeti might be a surviving population of Gigantopithecus, a massive prehistoric ape that supposedly went extinct 100,000 years ago. Gigantopithecus stood up to 10 feet tall and lived in Asia. If a small population survived in the isolated Himalayas, it would explain the sightings perfectly. But science refuses to consider it. Why? Because admitting a giant ape lives in one of the most explored mountain ranges in the world would mean we've missed something enormous. Literally. The Yeti endures in the stories of the Sherpa, in the footprints left in the snow, and in the minds of climbers who've seen something moving in the distance, something that shouldn't be there. And maybe that's the point. Some creatures don't want to be found. The Dover Demon. In April 1977, 3 separate groups of teenagers in Dover, Massachusetts, reported seeing something that still defies explanation. A creature so bizarre, so alien, that it became known as the Dover Demon. The first witness, 17-year-old Bill Bartlett, was driving with friends when he saw something crawling along a stone wall. It was about 3 to 4 feet tall, with a disproportionately large head, thin limbs, and no visible facial features except 2 enormous glowing orange eyes. The skin was hairless and textured, like sandpaper. It turned, stared at him, and then scurried away into the darkness. Hours later, another teenager, John Baxter, saw the same creature. He described it identically. Large head, thin body, glowing eyes. It stood on the edge of a ravine, watching him, before disappearing into the woods. The next night, 2 more teenagers saw it near a different location. Same description, same unnatural proportions, same glowing eyes. 4 independent witnesses. Same creature. Same 24-hour period. Police investigated, but found nothing. No footprints. No physical evidence. Just 4 terrified teenagers and sketches that matched perfectly. What was the Dover Demon? Skeptics suggest it was a baby moose, a deformed animal, or a hoax, but baby moose don't have glowing eyes, and hoaxes don't involve multiple unconnected witnesses giving identical descriptions. Some researchers believe it was an alien, a visitor from elsewhere observing our world. Others think it was an interdimensional traveler, something that slipped through from another reality. The most disturbing theory, that it's still out there, that Dover wasn't the only place it appeared, just the only place people talked about it. The Dover Demon was seen for less than 48 hours, and then vanished. No sightings since. No explanations, just a mystery that refuses to die. 7 creatures, thousands of witnesses, decades of sightings. And science still refuses to admit they exist. Why? Because acknowledging these creatures would mean admitting we don't know everything, that there are still mysteries on this planet, that despite all our technology, all our knowledge, there are things living in the forests, the lakes, the mountains that we can't explain. Maybe they're undiscovered species. Maybe they're genetic anomalies. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something else entirely. Something that's been here all along, hiding in plain sight. What do you think? Are these creatures real? Or are thousands of people just seeing things? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you've ever seen something you can't explain, tell me your story. I want to hear it. And if you want more mysteries that science can't answer, hit that subscribe button, because the unknown is closer than you think.